you weren't in favour of the retention of 14 championship games purely from a workload management perspective. Um, the administrators all say, well, we've got fit to fit four formats into 6 months, and it's there's no easy answer, that sort of thing. Was it idle speculation that the PCA were considering? Well, I suppose it would be called industrial action if it was in an industrial world. But what are your thoughts now? I mean, do you see yourself as a peace broker, sort of first and foremost, and the administrators and the clubs and the catering for their members, that kind of thing? I don't. There's no easy answer, but where are you at the moment with the PCA?
First and foremost, my job is to express the opinion of the playing group to the ECB. And it was very clear after pre-season surveys last year that the players felt the schedule was hard work and was borderline unsafe. Stuff with issues with mental health, issues with physical health. The players were worried about the schedule. And I have massive sympathy for the ECB and Alan Fordham in particular, who does the schedule, that we have this vast amount of cricket, and it really should be celebrated how much cricket we play in this country and how many teams we support, how many professional cricketers there are, both men and women. It's superb, and I think the game in this country gets a bit of a bashing at times when it shouldn't necessarily, because look at the sort of smorgasbord of cricket that is on offer on a weekly basis. In the county championship and the women's game. I think it's superb, but there are definitely pinch points in the season. And I'll be totally honest, I think most cricketers this year would say, certainly on the male side of things, would say the schedule's great until that last month of the season when we basically play 6 championship games in 5 weeks. And so the gaps between games end up being crazy, really. A day off, and that day is going to be travelling from, wherever to wherever. But the main bulk of the season, days off between T20, couple of days off between every championship game, if not 3 days off between championship games. That's great. That's what players want. They want gaps between games. It's just a little bit of a shame that after the 100 this year, it's a little bit crazy, and hopefully we all survive that without anything too crazy happening.
Yeah, it's been quite bizarre because from my point of view, obviously I'm out of the game, but I love county cricket more than anything else, and this is where it's so important that you play a game, so important that you keep 18 teams, because the country goes all the way up to we get players from Scotland, we get players from from Wales, we get players from everywhere. I think it's important that we still cover the whole breadth of this country to have it. And I think from a PCA point of view, how pleased are you that, trying to word this right, the noise around county cricket at the start of the season was, this is going to be as important from an England cricket team point of view than it's ever been in the last sort of 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's probably safe to say in the last year or two there's been a bit of a disconnect between the national side and county cricket. And I think Rob Kay held a press conference early season, didn't he? He was saying, we need want to sort of repair a few relationships here, build bridges, which is absolutely brilliant to see from my point of view. If you do well in county cricket, I'm sure you're the same as me, Harmy. I think the best players in county cricket will do well in the test team. So I think it's brilliant that to hear for any cricketer, old or young, that if I do well for my county in county cricket, there is a path for me into the England side. That's awesome. That's the way it should be. And there's obviously a lot of excitement around the start of the season about who might get picked up in this first test squad. And I think that's awesome. And that's the way it should be. It's aspirational for players to be thinking about, I want to play for England.
Ollie, you won't get two bigger advocates of player welfare than me and Harmy. So we thought at the beginning of the season that the new replacement law was a good thing. Mm-hmm. We just didn't know that it would include runny tummies, and I don't want to drag you into a controversy, but do you think? I don't know. Harmy and I said, if there's a loophole to jump through to replace a player, then as a coach or a director of cricket or a captain, it's your duty almost to jump through that loop.
Yeah, listen, I'm the same as you. As a PCA, we are all for this, protecting players. Someone getting injured on the first morning of a game and the game suffering because of that, and bowlers' workloads, for example, going through the roof because one person's gone down is something we want to avoid. And the sort of real strength of this will come when there's there have been various examples of horrific things happen in families, accidents at home and stuff like that, and players having to continue in the game rather than get subbed out. And fortunately, that's not happened yet, but it will happen. The stuff you mentioned about runny tummies and whatnot, yeah, I think it's safe to say, despite all the good intentions, there are probably a few loopholes at the moment, and it probably does need to be tightened up. I think it's going to be good for cricket. I think it's good for the game. But yeah, I think a few tightening ups here and there by the powers that be might be a good thing, because the last thing we want to do is for the game to lose integrity. And as you've mentioned, it's probably human nature that if there's a loophole to exploit, then people are going to exploit it, and that's absolutely fine. It's professional sport. Those little marginal gains are what it's about, really. But yeah, I think probably a few little things that could be tightened up. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I'm also with the protection of bowlers is one thing. I think with I've got a B in my bonnet at this moment in time that I think we are pushing bowlers into a position where they're getting a bit soft. I think we really are. I mean, I also think, on a serious note, I think the understanding of what bowling programs are coming from areas of people who don't understand bowling. I think that's quite dangerous. I think bowling is difficult. I think it's an endurance thing, and it's something that I think if the best bowlers in the world are the ones that have bowled a lot of overs, the ones that stay fit and know how to take wickets when they're tired. And I still think there's an art in that. I'm also not in favour of playing 6 games in 5 weeks at the end of the season. So I think there's a fine balance. There is a fine balance in that. But this substitute rule, I've always been a believer, Ollie, that if you give a player an excuse, the player will find an excuse. And I think if you give a team a chance to maybe push the boundaries, can cricket afford it? That is my biggest worry about this whole thing. Is can a team like a Worcester, where you've just played, take 14 players to a game because we think we might need to take a spare batter, take a spare bowler, and then they're not playing cricket. Then there's hotel rooms and everything that. Can cricket afford these sort of replacements?
No, that's a fair point. And like you say, it's there for very good and noble reasons. It's whether it's sort of being exploited for the wrong reasons, maybe at times. Because I mean, we've had the concussion subs for a number of years now, and as far as I'm aware, I don't think there's been any dodginess or exploitation of the concussion sub rule. There's an argument to say, with in inverted commas, as you just said there, Neil, runny tummies, that this injury replacement sub might have bled into a few grey areas. But yeah, I think it's there for good reasons, but maybe needs to be tightened up a little bit. But I agree with you, Harmy, that I know I'm at my best when I'm bowling lots of overs. I think 4-day cricket is an endurance event, and we want to protect that. Really want to protect the fact that it's there to be an endurance event. But at the same time, if we can protect players from really serious things, not having to go out and bat with broken arms and stuff like that, I think that's probably quite sensible too.